Let's get started. First, I'd like to say hello and welcome to everyone. Welcome to our next installment in the Tight 20 marketing series from Ballyhoo Digital, where we give you real, actionable marketing advice in a compact format that does not waste your time. Today, I am your moderator. My name is Brian Petrovich. Today's episode will be 20 minutes of usable marketing advice. In episode 10 of our series, we discuss SEO. SEO can be the most powerful marketing method for your business, and sometimes the most complex. In this episode, we'll go over the broad concepts of SEO, including how to evaluate its usefulness for your business, what types of SEO you might need, and how to measure success. We will also have a brief Q&A at the end, so please submit any questions via chat, and we will do our best to answer them as clearly as possible. Now, without further ado, I would like to introduce the founder and owner of Ballyhoo Digital, Scott Hicks.
Brian, how are you, sir? I am turning on video currently.
We can see you. There you are.
Hey, there we are. Let's see. All right. I have actually, yes. So thanks very much for the introduction and welcome everybody. We really appreciate everyone joining us here. This is, it is the Tight 20. That's right. So we're going to keep this as tight as we possibly can today. This is a big subject. SEO. We are, so if you've been following this series for a while, then you might know that we've been trying to do this and do the different types of digital marketing in sort of, I don't want to say in order of importance, but more in the order of how quickly you can begin to see results. You can expect to see results. And SEO is a little different. It's no less important, but we save this kind of for the end because it's a very complex subject. It can be, and this is gonna be a multi-part thing. So let's see if we can get started on our slideshow here. 1 second, and all right. Can we see this, Brian?
Scott, we do not see it just yet.
There we go. Sorry, gotta click the actual button. How about now?
I got you. We got you.
All right, great. Awesome. All right, so getting started with SEO. So the first thing is to define SEO. How do we define SEO? There are a lot of ways to do this, but I have a pretty simple definition that I use. It's improving a website's visibility in organic search results. So yeah, that's pretty straightforward. What you want to be able to do is see a website show up in any search engine search results more often or higher on the page, or both, ideally, so that you can draw visitors who will hopefully become clients or customers. Of course, when we say organic results, it's not maybe not clear to everybody exactly what we mean by organic. Those are the search engine optimization results, but there's also paid results on any search results page. So there are a couple of different views here we can look at. Here's Brian, can you see this okay?
Perfect.
Okay, great. All right, so here's a search for air-conditioned dog houses. This actually was a funny one. I've used this example for years and years. But you can see this sort of grayed out area. These are all essentially paid advertisements here. So we're not talking about these. You can buy these ads. And if you go back to one of our earlier episodes, we talk a lot about paid search and things like that. So if you want more information, you can definitely go backwards on our YouTube channel, for example, and look at some of the earlier episodes. What we're talking about are these results that come below the ads. These are what are known as the organic search ads. Here's another one. I'll show you another search page real quick. This is just one. This is for a particular product, but if you're looking for a service provider, can look a little bit different. So we're looking for 24-hour plumbers if you got a plumbing emergency. And these up here, these are all, you see sponsored or ad here. It shows that they are actually in the gray area. Those are actually paid for. Now below that, I'm sure everybody's seen this. This is the Google map. And let me see if I can actually bring up, Brian, I hate to bother you again, but can you see this?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Just want to make sure, this is live. I didn't have enough screen space there, so we can scroll down and kind of look at this. This is considered organic as well. This is a Google map, and it usually shows for local businesses and things like that. So there are a couple of different types of SEO. And one of them is local, and it takes advantage of this map. We'll get into that later. But just wanted you guys to know, when you're looking at a search results page, there are people out there who are not sure the difference between organic and paid search, and that is the difference. Anything from this map pretty much down is going to be organic search, although at the bottom of the results page, actually, I'm not sure how many results I have on this. I've got it set up for a lot. You usually see some ads here at the bottom as well. So just to let you know. All right. So moving on, why SEO? And the primary reason to do SEO for your website, so that you show up in those organic results, is trust. People trust the results of search engines, the organic results, more than they trust paid advertising. And that's not anything to sneeze at, Now, the landscape has changed quite a bit over the past years. People do more searches on their phones, and one of the things you have to take into account is how much sort of screen space you're looking at too. So if you only see one organic result and two ads, well, yeah, there's some chance that people are going to click on those ads more often than organic results. Sometimes. It's not always the case. And so depends on the type of search that they're doing. But the point is that they trust those organic results. They tend to trust those more than ads. It's shifting more towards ads just because, again, the way we actually do search. But so far, it's still a huge advantage in that. Another thing is that ads are usually for selling very specific products or services. But if you have a potential client or customer who has a detailed question that you can answer on your website, that's the kind of thing that usually you don't want to spend ad dollars on. You want to create content that ranks organically on your site so that they can find that. So we'll go back to we'll go to the plumbing thing. A specific question might be, what do I do if my water bill gets high and I can't figure out why? That's a very specific question that you're not going to want to do a paid search ad for, but you might be able to provide that answer on your website. It will drive traffic to your website, and hopefully, if you're then able to give them an answer that they like, if they need your services, they'll remember that you gave them that answer, or they may just call you immediately. So next question, SEO, when? SEO is like planting trees. And this is one of my favorite analogies. There's a Chinese proverb that says, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today. And so I like that because it really does talk about SEO. You cannot get started too early with SEO. If you are a brand new business and you haven't even launched your website, you need SEO before you even launch the site. You need to get an SEO person, or at least really work on it yourself. If you want to do DIY SEO, you really need to work on it while you're developing a site, or while you're having somebody develop the site. And the reason for this is because it can take a varied amount of time. We don't, there are so many variables with SEO and the different sort of factors that go into it. that the earlier you get started on it, the sooner you're going to see results. So, um, again, this goes back to what we were saying, what I was saying at the very beginning, which is that even though we talked about email marketing and paid search first, because those things can produce almost immediate returns, SEO is still it's pretty much necessary for just about any business that has a presence online. And again, starting earlier rather than later is definitely preferable. So let's talk about search engine algorithms for a minute. So what is an algorithm? To break it down as simply as possible, the algorithm is kind of a set of rules that search engines apply to every single search to determine the order that those organic results show up on a page or on multiple pages. So that's it in sort of a nutshell. Of course, it is it's a little more complex. So how does it work? Well, that's an excellent question. It's a closely guarded secret, or they are closely guarded secrets. So those search engines themselves do not really advertise everything that their algorithms do. But there are a number of different things that go into it, including AI or machine learning, things like that. Semantic text, sort of understanding of trying to understand and parse what search terms mean, things like that. So there are a lot of rules that go into it. At some point in the past, Google said there are over 2,000 different factors that go into ranking, but it doesn't actually. I don't know that that's even accurate anymore. This was a few years ago. It's probably way more than that. Plus, search engines tend the trend has been for several years, many years, to move towards personalized search results. So the results that you get can be based upon previous searches or other online activity that you've had. They may not be the same search results as somebody else gets. So there's a lot of different factors and things that go into it. And they, again, they all kind of keep their cards close to the vest on the specifics of how these things work. So what is the purpose? This is the most important question. What is the purpose of the algorithm? Purpose of the algorithm is to understand a website, to have essentially computers understand a website, what it's about, just like a human would, so that when you put in a search term or question into the search engine, the results that it delivers are going to be based on a human-like understanding of what that site is about. That way they can give you the results that most closely answer the need of your search. So if you have a specific question, they want to be able to understand what that question is, and they'll be able to understand what the website says about that question and be able to deliver you the best answer to that question. Or just even, something like a simple, search for plumbers. They want to understand that the websites they're showing to you are plumbing sites, that they're reputable plumbing sites, that they're nearby, that, I searched for 24-hour plumbing services. Now, I did not check in that search I showed you guys, didn't check if they were all 24-hour plumbing services, but that's the kind of thing that Google will try, or any of the search engines will try to understand whether or not they have a 24-hour service available based on that search. So again, the main purpose is to get results, the best results for the search. And to do that, they have to understand it more than just syntactically what the words are on a page, but what they actually mean. Now, we'll go down the rabbit hole just a little bit more and say, why do they want to do that? Well, all the search engines, they make their money from ad revenue. So all of those ads that you see pay for those search engines. The vast majority, something like 90+% of Google's revenue, and they've got their hands in a lot of things, comes from search ads. They have, all the search engines have a vested interest in showing the best results. And the better results they show, the more likely they are to return to that search engine and see more ads and potentially click on them. And that's where they make their money. So that's maybe a little bit complicated, but I kind of warned you up front. This is not it can be a complex subject. So which search engines should you optimize for? The big daddy, Google. Always Google. I could stop here and just say that is the only answer. It's definitely the best answer. Google has, I checked earlier today, they've got over 88% of domestic search. That is search in the United States, any search is done 88% of it through Google. That's almost 9 out of 10 people do their primary searching through Google. There are other search engines. There's Bing, of course. They've got a little less than 6%. And actually, I was a little surprised to see this one. Yahoo is still around and still, I mean, I knew they were still around, but they're still getting just under 3% of search. And I'd like to actually, I want to call out honorable mention DuckDuckGo. If you haven't heard of those guys, they've been around for a few years. They are an extremely private search engine, so they don't keep any information or anything like that. You don't get personalized recommendations or stuff like that. So if you're really interested in privacy, DuckDuckGo is where you should be searching from. However, the actual amount of search that they get, they haven't taken any real bite out of anybody. So they're less than Yahoo on that. So in the end, they're all trying to achieve the same thing. They're all trying to give you the best results. And in the end, everybody who's not Google is trying to play catch up with Google. It's been that way for years, and I don't see it changing anytime soon. What that generally means is if you optimize for Google, for the Google algorithm, you're probably going to see similar results on the other search engines. And it is, it really, that's the best way to describe it. And the best way, to understand how it works is that optimize for Google and everyone else will follow. So where do we start with actual SEO? Whew. That's a tricky one. There were so many things that so many different directions we can go in with this, because SEO is a very, again, it's complicated. It's a bigger process than any of the other marketing channels that we've gone over. But really, if you break it down, you got to have measurement. So analytics is really the starting point. You've got to have your analytics set up. Again, we talked about this in one of the earlier episodes. Again, you can go back and check that out on one of our earlier webinars, all on YouTube, on the YouTube Ballyhoo Digital channel. But setting up analytics gives you a baseline. So you've got to know what your traffic looks like at first before you do anything else. You've got to know where your traffic is, and then you'll be able to tell when you start to see results from SEO. And the second thing is Search Console. So this is a Google product. It's called Google Search Console. And it's really made for people who want to do SEO and who are actually doing SEO on their site, because it gives you a lot of metrics and things that that you'll need in order to actually be successful with SEO. It gives you a lot of the search terms that people are using to find your site. It'll show you trends in traffic. It will give you tips on things that you need to change on your website in order to perform better on their search engine. And now there is a Bing corollary to this called Bing Webmaster Tools, and it's a good tool. It's similar to Search Console. There's a lot of overlap in what they do with that. For every one of our clients, we're going to set them up on the Bing Webmaster Tools and check that regularly as well. But as you saw, there's such a small percentage of search actually happens on Bing that it's not a huge deal. And really, we use their Bing Webmaster Tools more as a monitoring service to make sure that they're not, there's nothing that's amiss there's always a chance, I guess, at some point that Bing will drop the hammer and go off in their own direction with search. But I got to be honest with you, I don't think that's gonna happen. It's not that likely. So so that's where we I kind of want to leave it today. I didn't want to get too deep into the other things that you can do. You can, if you don't have analytics set up, like I said, you can go back to our webinar earlier and learn a little bit more about it. And you can get that set up on your site, and Search Console should follow analytics. Once you have analytics set up, you can use analytics to verify your Search Console account. And then we'll go into both of those in a little more detail, probably in the coming episodes. So I think that's going to do it. If you guys have questions, please, send them on the chat, and we'll see. We'll see if we can answer those for you.
Scott, that was fantastic. We do have a few questions coming in on the chat. First one, I think, which is really important. I think everybody is kind of curious about this. First question is, how long does SEO take to start showing results?
That's a question we get a lot. And actually, we have on our website somewhere, we have a blog post about that. Mentioned earlier, a little bit, touched on that earlier. It's a variable. You have to think about first of all, the geography that you're trying to get results in. So again, if you're a local service-based business, for example, it may be a little easier to see results more quickly because you're in a limited area. If you're playing on the national level, it might be a little more difficult to do that. It also depends really a lot on the competition for what it is that you're offering. If you're on the national level and you are one of a kind business, or you only have one other real competitor for what you do, I mean, we're talking about truly unique businesses, you might find it faster to get results out of that. Likewise, if you're even in a local business and there are, hundreds more just like you, it may be more challenging that way. In general, though, it will probably take at least a couple of months to start to see results. I would say 60 days, probably minimum, to start to see results. Real SEO does take time, and it is a commitment. So you're probably talking about a year, even more. It can be several years. As businesses build up. We have clients that we've had for many years, and who are still growing. Their organic search results still grow. They're doing very well, but every month we see better numbers. So it's not something that ever really stops. But you can start seeing results fairly quickly. Again, a couple of months, not as fast as paid search, but a couple of months.
Great. Thank you, Scott. The questions are flying in. Another great question. What is something specific you could do for SEO before your site goes live?
Ooh, there are a lot of specific things that you can do. I mean, really a lot. Let's see. You can make sure that you have an XML sitemap. That's a pretty easy one and straightforward. And of course, in this is going to take several episodes for us to get through SEO. But if you use Yoast, again, we'll go over these tools later. If you use the Yoast tool, and you are, for example, on a WordPress site, that will create an XML sitemap for you. There are tons of different tools out there, but the XML sitemap really is something that search engines look for to know which pages to crawl. So that's pretty important. That's one of the more important ones. From a technical perspective, you can do things like making sure that all of the images that you're using on your site are optimized for the web, and they are compressed images take less time to load, and speed is a factor in pretty much every search engine's algorithm. So the faster your website loads, that's one of the things that you want to make sure of before you launch. Gosh, so many things. Making sure that all of the pages you want to show up are linked from somewhere within the site, and that your linking strategy, your internal linking strategy, you make sure you have links to the pages that you feel are most important. So That's just a couple of things. It looks like this one was from Catherine. Kat, I appreciate that question. I know you and I have, Kat and I have been conversing offline on a couple of things, and I apologize. I haven't been able to get back with you just recently. Things have been a little crazy, but yeah. So I know you're you're welcome. Yeah, I know that's something you're specifically interested in, and you know, gosh, making sure your content is optimized, that you've done your research on keywords. I think we have a question about that as well. Do we not?
We do, Scott. The question is, how can I find the keywords that people are searching for to find businesses like mine?
Okay, and I'm going to actually go back to our paid search. I think this is one of the best ways to do this. Refer back to our paid search webinar. We talk about doing keyword research there, and pretty much the same principles apply for SEO. And we say, I use the term keywords loosely because, again, in as far as SEO goes, keywords is not really, it's not really the terminology that we use anymore, because the algorithms have such a more holistic understanding of the text content of the pages of your site. They're not looking for keywords specifically or specific phrases in the same way that they used to. But that being said, if you can do this, the keyword research, again, through the methods that we talked about in our paid search webinar, then you'll find the terms that people use a lot. And it never hurts to make sure that you're using the same terminology that other people are using to try to find your services.
Scott, the next question is actually, I think, a really interesting question. It's something that I've actually thought about. Does social media help to increase my website's rank?
No. The answer is no. It's a very simple answer. It doesn't mean that it won't help drive traffic to your site, but it has not been used as a signal for any of the search engines to signal the importance of a site or the authority of a site, and so therefore it doesn't really help in that way. No.
Bummer. Gotcha. Last question for you, Scott. And this is another good one. Can I just pay Google money to get better SEO?
I'd love to say yes. That one's a question we've gotten many times over the years. It doesn't really work like that. Yeah, so you just can't. You can pay for ads, but you can't pay for SEO. You have to put in the work, you have to put in the effort, or pay somebody to put in the effort anyway, to make your SEO to get those kind of organic results that you want. But yeah, you just can't write a check to Google and say, here, I'd like to be number one for this search term. It kind of undermines the whole objectivity of organic results, so they don't do that. But that's a good question anyway. A lot of people are confused about that.
I wish it was that easy. That would be that would have been nice. But that's going to be it today, Scott, for the questions.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, everyone. Again, thank you all so much for joining us today. If you have questions, you can reach out to us, ballyhoodigital.com. You can find our webinars, the past ones, on our YouTube channel. And you can find our website. Like I said, ballyhoodigital.com. You can reach out to us if you have specific questions, email there, or even give us a call. We're happy to help you out. And thanks again, Brian. I appreciate it. And we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, Scott.
All right.